and it just gets us so freaking excited.
Put the
We thank you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's going to become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We thank you as family, and we love you all. So, at the base and the heart of midlife crisis, not gonna lie, it's Mikey G and Maddie Mintz. And why it is because over 30 years ago, I met this crazy SOB at the 4th grade bus stop. I swear to you, when I first laid eyes on this dude, he was perpendicular to the ground, or not perpendicular, like horizontal to the ground, hanging at a 90-degree off a stop sign. And I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? And since that, we had a budding, flourishing relationship, been best friends our whole lives. Obviously, life got in the way. You go to college, you get married, you start businesses, things happen. Fittingly enough, our midlife crisis brought us back together, hence the name. We're older than most people in this space, but we found NFTs about a year ago, and then we said, you know what, we're really gonna create a company. As we get more connected, as we go into the metaverse, what we're about to do is meeting new people, having real raw conversations. We think it's going to become a lost art. So we're here to make that happen, to bring it all to you, and to help you expand, learn, and grow. And we came up with a very simple mission statement. That mission statement is to bring back the lost art of genuine human connection. And I got one last thing to say, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I genuinely, and Maddie genuinely believes we were put on earth to do exactly what we're doing now. We love doing this. We love meeting new people, and it just gets us so freaking excited. We thank you as family, and we love you all. Whoa, what up, folks? It is a special Friday stream with the man, the myth, the legend, Snuffy. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait to go down the rabbit hole with him. But before that, Maddie, how are you freaking doing on this Friday? We are last-minute stream, bro, and we already got 6 people watching. That's blowing my mind.
I mean, dude, we basically were doing this 12 hours ago, so not a lot has changed. You know, I went to bed, woke up, had a productive morning.
Yeah.
I'm on my second energy drink, so you know it's one of those mornings. So you know,
dude,
it's
check
amazing.
This out. Now you can see where I start the day, which is here.
Dude,
I started a 75-day gallon-a-day water challenge, Snuffy, and I'm on day 4.
Molly water?
No, it's just water with lemon, bro. It's water with lemon. It's sweet San Diego. Ocean
Oof.
water is what it is. Um,
Oof.
but yeah, man, same thing. Not a lot has happened. I've slept. I don't have my glasses on. You can probably see some bags under my eyes, but we're ready to go. And then it's super pumped to have Snuffy here. I found Snuffy listening to a Twitter space, and I forget who was. I think it was Jeremy Fall who was leading it, and you were on it, and you talked about your project, and I was like, this dude seems cool as shit. And then your project really hits at the home of what we like to talk about, which is genuine human connection and just people, right? But before we get into the fascinating conversation, got to start off with an intro. And this is one of our more esteemed guests that we've had on the show. Dude is a real estate investor, owns a few buildings in NYC, which is very cheap property, I heard. He's also a tattoo artist. He's done multiple celebrities, but we'll leave it at just that. Let your imagination run wild. He's also a traditional artist and represented by the Palo Gallery. Most people might not have known that, but maybe you have. And then we got a fun fact about him. The fun fact is he also has a secret music career that has millions of plays. But guess what? This is the craziest thing. You'll never know. You'll just never know. So keep on listening to music on the internet, and it could be from Snuffy. You just will never know. Snuffy, man, welcome to the show. So glad to have you. We're going to have fun and vibe out here, man. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. What an introduction. I'm doing great. This is it's an honor to be asked to speak with anybody about things that come out of my mind. So thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, that's
Of course.
actually, thank you for that appreciation because not many people
Yeah.
say it that way. So, I mean, it means a lot to us. And we'll get right to it, man. World famous midlife crisis question. How did you get to the seat that you're sitting in today? Please give us Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3. And we're gonna see where it takes us, man. Can't wait to hear it.
Cool. Yeah, how did I get here? Okay. Well, I was born in Israel.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
I'm the 10th generation in a row born in Jerusalem,
Nice.
which makes me Jesus.
You know, that is probably right.
Yeah, which makes me either Jesus or somebody who murdered Jesus. I don't know the rules. I don't know the Bible, but anyway.
Which makes me
So,
Jesus.
so that's what brought me here. No, and we're done. So yeah, when I was like 3 or 4, my family moved to New York,
Mm-hmm.
and then my oldest brothers moved to Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my life was spent between like White Plains, New York,
Mm-hmm.
and Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And yeah, I guess like I think the best way to approach this is to give you a stack of like manila envelopes,
Yeah.
and then we can choose to open whichever if we decide to.
Maddie and I are
Yes.
great at opening envelopes, so don't worry
Sick.
about that.
I'm not. So, shout out to the IRS or whatever. Ooh, crazy. Anyway, so let's start with envelope 1, which is like everybody was playing video games and I was outside. I was
Okay.
on bicycles, skateboards, fucking outside. That's just like I was a sports kid and just an outside kid. I didn't know. When I first heard about PlayStation, I thought, because I was at my family friend's house and they're like, "Do you want to do PlayStation?" And I was like, "What is that?" And they pointed to like the TV console and it was like in one of those closets,
Right.
And I thought the PlayStation was the closet that like unfolded like a Murphy bed and had like
right.
games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for like 5 years, I thought a PlayStation was like a closet that turned into a thing. So
Dang.
that just goes to show that. So, but yeah, so sports. So then I went to, I learned snowboarding from, I'm like this Israeli kid living in New York, and I was really young, so I'm basically just a New Yorker. So anyway, so then I learned snowboarding and fell in love with that and started competing and pretty much went the professional route. And just before I turned professional, um, I I didn't end up going pro. It was a
Snowboarding.
conscious
You were a pro
decision.
snowboarder?
No, I didn't end up
Almost.
going
Oh, you
professional.
Yeah.
didn't end up. Okay.
But I mean, I competed on a pro level. But
Okay.
technically at that time, to be to be considered a professional snowboarder, it was like you had to win a pro contest.
Yeah.
And so I always came close, but I never like won. Like in 2006, fun fact, like beat Shaun White in halfpipe contest. And that's not hard in the sense of like if he fucks up and has 2 bad runs, then like 20 other people beat him too. You know what I mean? So
Bro,
but
I gotta stop real quick.
Yeah.
We
What's
asked
up?
you about your resume, and you were struggling for 4 points. You just dropped multiple alpha bombs. You beat Shaun White in a half pipe contest, bro.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. Thanks. I don't know, like it's not like I won the contest, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like
I mean, let's just put it in this context. You competed with Shaun White
Yeah.
in the half pipe
for sure.
contest.
Not
Like,
many
can we
people
let's
get to say that.
let's just say that. I mean, you were the fact that that's who you were competing with tells us, I think, what we need to know about you. You actually were going pro in this when it comes to snowboarding. That's legit, man. That's awesome.
Dope, man.
Yeah, it was amazing to experience, and I mean, pretty much all my friends from that time period like went pro and are amazing, talented, way better than me riders and stuff. And so it's like cringy for me to like say what I said, especially if I don't, whatever.
I get what
practice
you're.
or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You know, you don't want to blow that up as like this was this crowning achievement because you've got a lot of other friends that are the real deal. Totally get it.
And you gave a disclaimer. You're good. You're good.
Cool. So yeah, I fucking beat the shit out of Shaun White. No,
there we go. There we go.
Yeah, I mean it was great. So that was like Manila Envelope 1, I guess, was the professional snowboarding.
Love it.
Then because of a lot of, and we're just gonna keep it positive here, but because of all sorts of like social pressure, wanting to fit in, feeling feeling almost like ostracized or like an outcast from society. It just totally in my own head about it. I became like pretty lit, like drug person who like if you needed some, you could get some, or whatever.
We actually just had a really deep conversation with a guy yesterday that went down the rabbit hole of that, and had this, had punk parents and had the counterculture feeling as well. So
yeah, man.
Don't
from dealing to jail, he gave us the whole story.
Dealing to jail to still being sober for over 12 years. So there's no judgment here, man.
Yeah, no judgment at all, man.
Oh no, I don't feel. Yeah, totally. I'm an open book with that stuff. It's more just like, it's dangerous to get into things. They're called war stories, and it's you get into these war stories, and it's like, I was like slinging this and doing that, and it's just like, it's almost protecting myself from doing it in the sense, but it's like,
smart.
When somebody, anyway, I just don't want to turn into that. I don't want this whole hour to turn into like, I got arrested and da 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 da.
Oh no, I was arrested. We got so much more to talk about, man.
But truth, so the truth is, I was arrested 6 times, And basically that sort of was I had basically collegiate scholarships for lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was deciding whether I wanted to actually pursue professional snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was selling drugs.
Right.
And in school, and like just a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just being a kid.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was in this crossroads.
Yeah.
This like massive intersection. I was like, all right, I don't want to pursue professional snowboarding because I don't see a financial like upside,
Right.
and the risk is too like, in order for me to be the best, I have to sacrifice my body in a way that's like so fucking extreme
Yeah.
that if I fuck up one time, it's all over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, this, as much as I love snowboarding, it's just like the, you know, there are more extreme daredevils than I.
Yeah.
And just anyway, I was like, okay, let me just go make money and snowboard later when I'm like fucking fine. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like, let
right.
me just
Yeah.
secure my future and then
Yeah.
go snowboard. So that was out. Then it was lacrosse. And the two schools that I had lacrosse scholarships to, one was D1 and one was D3, and they're both really amazing schools.
Right.
But I was like, I can't be over here in this place, and I can't be over here in this place. I don't want to be in these locations.
Right.
So, yeah, so I end up going to school in Boston for construction management.
Okay.
Man,
And
you went from pro snowboarding to lacrosse
Yeah.
scholarships to construction management in Boston. That is that's wild.
yeah. So I guess I'm already on this track, so I'll just like finish it. But basically, I did the school because I had been arrested a few times leading up to university. So
Right.
I just was like, all right, I need to like grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like I can't lose my family. I can't lose my trust with their trust in me. I already lost it. So I need to like be a fucking adult. You know, I had to grow up fast, right? And so that's what I chose to do. The reason is when I was younger, the reason I chose construction management is because when I was younger, when we moved to the US, like my parents, when they were like in like 2001, bought this like old house with no insulation. And it's like a Frank Lloyd Wright style home in a Frank Lloyd Wright community in a place called Usonia.
Mm-hmm.
And so they began the process of like redoing it, and I was just like absolutely infatuated with the process. As a kid, I was watching, it was a design build firm that they hired to do it. So it's like just watching them dig up and excavate and redo, and so I was taken in by the architect as an apprentice when I was like really young. But it was like, I mean, again, I'm just like fucking, 13 years old. So
Right.
that's just, I was just learning from there. So yeah, so he would have me after school, and in the summertime I'd be in his office, and I would design a porch, and then I'd model it with balsa wood and foam board and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we fucking went and built it like on this person's house. Like he made edits and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, like, this was like a really powerful experience for me because, it was like I was always just trying to do stuff. I was always just making things and creating them. So yeah, so that's its own sort of manila envelope. And then, back to the school thing. So I chose the construction management path, and then basically, yeah, I was just like full-time student, and I didn't get into the architecture program. I applied too late and blah blah blah. So I went to the construction management program at the same school, Wentworth. It's called Wentworth Institute of Technology.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah. So finished that. Split. I got arrested like for the last time on December 28th, 2010. And that was pretty gnarly. So that was like the best mistake of my life, like getting arrested.
Ooh, I
So
like
I've been
this.
sober since then, since
Okay.
December 28th, 2010.
Congrats on that, man. That's awesome.
Word. Thanks. Yeah, I just celebrated 12 years. And
Dude, the guy last night just celebrated 12 years. This is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
What he kept on saying last night, Maddie? The coincidences or the
Yeah, the shoot.
shit, man.
Sequence. No.
Sequences or just the
Synchronicities.
synchronicities. This is a synchronicity, man. The fact that we've had like two very similar stories, literally being sober for 12 years back to back on our show is pretty wild, man.
Yeah. So take us back, December 28th. Best
Let's
thing that happened.
do this, Maddie. I want to, because we have shortened time. I would love to keep on going forward and then going back, but I think there's a lot to unpack just up to that point, right? Till let's say 2010, where you get arrested and you decide to get sober. There's a lot to unpack in my mind. First of, and if you're open to it, you didn't go a lot into kind of your family and your upbringing and your parental influence. But my first question is, I would love to hear about who were your parents, what did they do, and then looking back now, what were one or two things that you think they helped do to like mold you into the person you are today?
Yeah, my dad was a spine surgeon.
Okay.
And my mother an artist.
Okay.
So I'm a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there anything out of your
one part art?
Yeah. So kind of skill set
Wow.
they've impacted you, but as far as like, did you have a more regimented upbringing? Was it more loving, being creative? Like, what did that look like to you, or how did you interpret it looking back at your past?
These things are so biased,
right,
to say, because their perspective is totally different from mine, which is part of my project.
Ooh, but I love it.
The point is that they were like overly loving, caring, amazing people who let me do whatever I wanted to do.
Right.
And my dad always said, you're the best. You're the best at everything you touch.
That's awesome.
And that's awesome, but there's a caveat, like there's a follow-up statement that says you can be the best as long as you stay focused and work hard and be persistent.
Oh, I like that, man.
When you can't go around giving false sorry, there's a coyote out here. I'm in LA. You can't go around.
Okay.
See, I'm not focused. You can't go around giving people false confidence without giving them the truth.
Dude,
you have to be a hardworking, dedicated, focused person who is consistent and always shows up.
Yep.
And then it's being hard. It's that meme or whatever the fuck where it's like hard work beats talent.
Yeah.
That's
it's funny that you bring this up, because we actually had this exact same conversation, and which is what we're getting at is, and Maddie, feel free to add on from like our conversation last night, but this participation ribbon culture. you're kind of getting at that in the sense that like you do need positive reinforcement that anything is possible, but then also you need to hit the reality that doing nothing is going to get you nothing, right?
Right.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts around that? Like, you know, um, did you learn that over time, or I think you were more getting at that was actually the great part about what your parents did, but there is, you know, kind of the darker side to that in the sense that you have to figure out how to be great, right? What are your thoughts around that?
Um, I think, well, look, I was raised in a time where we still, you still had to call a house phone and
Yeah.
be like, hey, is like Steve home?
Right,
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the time I was raised in. And now is a totally, we're playing different fucking sports now. You
right,
know what I mean? Like,
right,
shit is
Yeah.
different. Now we live in a time where not only is it like you're the best, you could be the best, it's you could be the best at everything at the same time, all the time. And that is a huge fucking problem. And that's a problem that I face too, because I'm like, it's like one part Dunning-Kruger effect and another part like just, yeah, like being instilled with this idea that like I can do anything. And the truth is, like, look, I'm like hyper focused. There's certain things that I just pick up and I'm really good at.
yeah,
And that's like pure Dunning-Kruger shit where it's like, oh, I don't, I've reached a pin. I started tattooing and like 3 years later, I was like, all right, like now what? Because
right,
at that point I had already tattooed dozens and dozens of like celebrities and this and that. And it was just like, it kind of lost the allure. It kind of lost this like really
Mhm.
special because it just felt like I felt like a whore. And that's me being
interesting,
yeah, I guess that's also me being fucking ungrateful. Just purely ungrateful for that, but also like, decide it's like winning the fucking lottery. Like most
right.
of these people go broke right after. And
Yeah.
it's like
Mm,
it's the same thing that happened with me and tattooing and like it's me being ungrateful for it. And now that I really stepped back, took a break, I'm really understanding like what the value of my tattoo practice is, and it's my um connection to other humans. That's what I was talking with you about,
right.
or that's what I was talking about
Yeah.
in the on like
On the Twitter
Jeremy
space, yeah,
and Ryan's space. So anyway, um to come full circle, just to set the rest of the manila envelopes and then we just go wherever we want with it. After the arrest, I was like, well, I need to figure out my shit. So I um I had started doing real estate in college because I had got, got arrested in college and I was like, all right, I need a solid job because if these charges stick, then I won't be able to get a job. So I
right.
got a job as a real estate agent and I was like, okay, real estate, construction, boom, like cut out all the middlemen. I'm the one. Perfect. And then I was like, became a real estate agent in Boston and I was like, this isn't it. Like, I want to be the king of the hill. So I want to be a landlord. So I like set a few goals. I wanted to be the youngest person in my company to ever sell a building. So
Yeah,
when I was 21, I sold a building, which was kind of lit. And then now looking back, I'm like, that's not that young. But at that time, it was a big fucking deal. Actually, it wasn't 21. I was 18. And then 21 was when I wanted to own a building by. And so I missed the mark by like 2 or 3 months. But yeah, by 22, I had bought a building
I'm gonna have to
in
correct you,
Williamsburg.
man. Owning a building at the age of 21 is extremely young. It's very
Yeah,
young.
it was
So
crazy.
props on you, man.
Do you ever get those mailers that are like, if you like you're qualified for like $40,000 loan, like
Right.
at like 20%, like
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Dude, I took those. I called them. I called like 6 of those, got the money, and bought a building. I used like family tax returns. I was like, hey, I need your tax returns. And I took the loans from those cards and I fucking bought a building off of Craigslist in Williamsburg.
That's
Yeah.
Wild.
insane because Williamsburg is like a place, like a thing. It's like a place to be now.
That was January 5th, 2012. 2012.
Yeah. So that's a nice purchase at the time because now it's a poppin' place. That's insane.
Yeah. So
Um,
then that happened. I got super depressed and I started drawing at 27, 28. I started drawing and then like a week later I had a tattoo license.
and
Wild.
that kind of started the tattoo career. Maddie,
Yeah.
I know you
So,
have a bajillion things on your mind. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask just some. So first thing is your dad telling you can be the best, but you got to work at it. Did that create any pressure for perfection? Do you think that maybe was why you wanted to always strive to either go pro or be I mean, you're sitting there with scholarships and going pro skateboarding or whatever you've done, you've put
Mm.
these goals. I mean, and then you kind of downplay it. Good grief, you sold a building at 18, you owned a building by 22, which is wild. You know what I mean? Do you think that maybe that there was a pressure to try to just to be the best?
Yeah. Oh, there always is the pressure to be the best.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it has to do with like the parenting. I think it just has to do with probably growing up in a Western society.
Mm,
Okay.
I think it's
That's
just
fair.
having to be like wanting to just have the appreciation or be valued or be
right.
have attention or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. It's
but
like an
but
ego thing, probably.
I think those are two different things, right? I mean, people can be valued and appreciated and be a manager at McDonald's, right? But like you wanted more. And I'm just curious, was that something you
Right.
always had, or is that
Yeah,
something, you just
always.
always wanted to, that was just your part of who you were?
Yeah, I'm cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a
Well,
curse. It just depends in which direction. You
and
know,
and
if I was
and
like sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, you're right. I get what you say by the curse because the second part of my question is what you've described is the cost of actual achievement. People don't understand, when you chase, well, maybe they do, right? But when you chase something really hard and then you get it, it's like the dog that finally catches the car. It's like what now, right? And then that's hard for people to handle, right? Because the chase is what engages a lot of people, but then the actual reward at the end, whether it be a lottery ticket or whether it be the building sold. I mean, you went from buying a building to being depressed and starting to draw. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts around that?
That's so it's so powerful that you asked me that because I just forgot. I just forgot. Um I would buy a building and then immediately the day after be depressed. And it's just
Mm,
like I was just like going mad because that
Yeah,
first building I bought was such a Herculean effort
yeah.
yeah,
for a fucking nobody with no real estate background. I mean, I guess I had real estate background as a real estate agent, but like, I didn't fucking inherit, like nobody in my family did real estate.
Right.
I'm
yeah,
the only fucking one.
Right.
And I took all these loans and did all this thing and I fucking got the building.
Right.
And then I was just like, okay. Like I was waiting for like fireworks and
yeah,
celebrations and the whole
yeah.
city. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Well, and you
as a
mimic
matter of
that.
the opposite, I would continue to succeed as a landlord. And then I'd go to parties and, I'm 24. And this is what sort of was a tipping point for me was like I'd go to parties with friends
Yeah.
and it would be somebody who just decided 2 days ago they wanted to be a photographer.
Yeah.
So they got a camera.
Yeah.
And then someone would introduce us to like a girl or something and be like, oh, like, this is Snuffy. Like, he's a landlord. And they'd be like, okay. And then they'd be like, this is Steve. he's a photographer, and they'd be like, oh my God, you're a photographer? Like, what kind of this and that? And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, this is crazy.
I
You
get
know,
it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, the only
Yeah.
accolades, the only praise I'm receiving is obviously like my parents being like, you're amazing, but like my lawyer who's like 60 and he's like, I wish my son would be more like you. Like, how come, like, and I'm just like, I'm daily, I'm my own boss, and the only people I'm talking to is lawyers and accountants that are like 50, 60,
Right.
mortgage
Mhm.
brokers, fucking, just like, and so, um, to answer your question, the what now and what next, it's, it's what led me to seeking fulfillment. So
Mm.
getting arrested, I got arrested because I was seeking money, but
Right.
you're never going to be happy because
Mhm.
guess what? You can't have all the money. It's
Yeah.
fucking not possible. You just can't have all the
Yeah.
money.
Right.
Like you can have the most, but like you'll just never be happy. It's just
Yeah.
never enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got arrested and I was like, okay, I'm seeking the wrong thing. I'm seeking money. I should be seeking fulfillment and not happiness either. Happiness is just a collateral benefit of seeking fulfillment if you
Yes.
succeed.
Yeah.
But the idea is if you seek fulfillment, then the end goal is actually always a win because you're doing the thing that gives you purpose.
Yeah.
And then anything that happens after that is just a bonus. And
Yeah.
so you're just life hacking. You're just like tricking yourself into happiness. And the truth is like we're all just gonna die. Like nothing fucking really matters. So
Yeah.
when I approach things and say nothing really matters, then that takes that veil down and then you say, okay, so what matters to me now?
I
That's
love it,
awesome, man.
dude.
I just break down
Maddie,
that. I'm
Maddie,
just kidding.
fantastic question. Snuffy, amazing insight and response. Um, anything else, Maddie, before we kind of move in this
Yeah.
professional
No, that
phase?
you crushed it, man. That was because I was trying to get to the point where people will chase and chase and chase, and you answered it, which is you have to seek fulfillment, not
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
thing that you think is really the goal.
Yeah.
Fulfillment is the goal.
Yeah.
And when the entire process becomes something that brings you joy, that's where it starts to click for people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's like you said, you'll keep chasing it and you'll never get it
Right.
because it's that you're chasing the wrong thing. And I
Yeah.
think that was just really well said. And I think that that's something I hope people can take from that because we're in a space where a lot of young people, especially NFT craze, fast money. You knew you know what that brings. You know, a lot of the young people got that and saw quick money. And the thing is we've had people on this show, 19 years old. Okay, great. You mint it out. Now you have $4 million. And it's the exact same thing you said. It's like, what now?
Yeah.
Damn.
And at the bottom line is you can't seek, that's not going to fulfill you. And you have
Right.
to find that or you will be unhappy. You'll just be unhappy with $4 million. You know what I mean? But people can be unhappy. I mean, Mike Tyson talks a lot about this. He's like, trust me, man, I was here. You know what I mean? I was top
Right.
of the world and I
Right.
was so unhappy. And
Mhm.
we've heard this from these people that are larger than life. And I just think what you said is super powerful because to recognize that, man, I just wish more people would recognize it at a younger age. And maybe it's just part of our life process is we have to experience it and find it out ourselves, but not everybody gets there. So well
100%.
said.
100%.
You got to fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is, before we move on to the next thing, um, there is so much ivory tower, just there's lofty goals and dreams that people are like, you have to seek fulfillment. Somebody's sitting here listening to us and they're like, fuck you, seek fulfillment. I have bills to pay.
Right.
We have to strike that balance. We
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
find a way. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I would love to only make sculptures, but I have to diversify to create something like a sculpture. I have to be
Yeah.
able to afford that. So I
Yes.
have to tattoo and I have to sell my physical art, my paintings
Right.
in order to afford the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like now money isn't the goal as an end. Money is a tool to feed the other objectives that I want to do, right? So if you're
100%.
like, yeah, I think it's important that people ask themselves, what do I want, period,
Mhm.
from life? What do I want? And then why do I want that? And then when I get that, then what? And that's an exercise that's really important for me. And I learned that based on succeeding, buying those buildings and being like, well, now, well, fuck, like, now what?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to fix the apartments, I'm going to repair it, I'm going to get the this and that and all this stuff. But I think a lot of folks are living in this, like, in this 2 feet away thing, right? And
Yep.
we need to zoom out and be like, okay, once I get this thing that's 2 feet away, then what? And then what? And then what? And then what?
Yep. Dude,
Just so we can prepare ourselves for mental anguish. And
Yeah.
all right, I'm done.
No.
I love it.
This is
Good stuff.
awesome. And just a couple comments on that. One of Matt's famous sayings is, what is it, Maddie? Money doesn't guarantee happiness, but not having it will guarantee misery. So
Yeah,
like
but
that's
poverty
poverty
pretty much ensures
guarantees misery, but
Yeah.
so along the lines. But I just want to share my kind of quick story along the lines of what you're saying is it's reaffirming what you said, right? Like when I went through a major depressive order, and before, I just I don't think I was, mildly depressed, but like I just had this mindset that chasing the money and like, having this dream of like, oh, dude, I just need enough money so I can get and sit on the beach and do nothing, right? Because that's what I was told to do, right? But then I go through this life altering moment, and it really kind of what you're touching at too, as well as like it made me look in the mirror and say, what do I really want, right? And it creates a self-awareness about what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and then ultimately they came to the conclusion that is the constant pursuit of learning and growing. That's what I really care about. How do I do that? Well, we've manifested it in this show, because what Maddie and I are very good at is having conversations and creating deep, genuine human connections in a short amount of time. So now I've matched, okay, a skill set that I have a native ability at to be good at, that now creates the end product of learning and growing constantly, right? Just this half of conversation we already had is insanely enlightening and just adds to my repertoire of things that I can go back to and relate to when I have a conversation with somebody else that might impact them in a totally different way and help them learn and grow. And so what I'm getting at is 100% what you're saying. And I experienced it in my own way. And it's just every time we hear this, and we have very successful people on the show like yourselves, and it always boils down to these very simple principles of self-awareness, not chasing the money, self-actualization, figuring out what you're good at, and the constant pursuit of learning and learning and growing produce these forms of happiness. So I just wanted to add that onto the conversation. I really appreciate what you're saying.
Rendered speechless.
So moving on to the next part, let's really, the one thing I want to get as like kind of your professional career and doing the tattoo artist, one thing that you said that struck me that I definitely don't want to miss to touch on is in 2010, you got arrested for the last time, and you kind of got to the point where you're like, I got to get my shit together or else this is going to be bad. Other than obviously being arrested, which is a kind of a life-altering moment, is there anything that you can reach back to that like clicked in your head to say, time to lock this shit up and move forward?
I mean, back to the beginning of the, probably like, well, the first question Matt asked me was like, were you always, like, what made you a perfectionist or whatever? So I think I've always just, I guess a perfectionist would tell you that they're not perfect. So there you go. I'm not perfect.
Right,
But
right.
I've always been striving to like have the most, be the best, do the thing, right? So nothing exactly. But at that period of time, it was my parents aren't taking care of themselves. And my brothers all left the country, went to Europe. So I'm here with my parents
Right.
in the sense where it's like I'm the one who's, and I was like, okay, well, fucking, I'm the youngest of there's four of us. I'm the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm the one, if you look at like psychologically what the youngest child is always the glue between all the family. That's how they view themselves. Like the youngest has like a savior complex. They have to like be the glue of the family.
Mhm.
And so it's proven in my actions as well, but I am I felt the necessity of having to take care of my family. So that's why I started doing the real estate stuff. Because I was like, let me do this. I will give them a piece of this property so they can't even touch it. They can't fuck that up.
Right.
They'll just be able to get old and retire. I mean,
Right.
they're already, my parents are 72.
Right.
Mhm.
And whatever. That's a whole other thing. So it was that. That was the time I got arrested, and I was like, all right, well, gotta get my shit together.
Right.
Fucking...
So
But
what I'm
my shit
hearing,
was together, by the way.
yeah, that's
Just so
that's
you
what
know.
I'm understanding is you had your shit together because you were owning these real estate properties, but then you were still getting kind of in trouble. And what I was getting at is like, what was there anything else that kind of snapped the mind to then move forward? And what I'm hearing is you feeling responsible to help your family out and be the glue as one. Is there anything else in addition to that?
Well, just for like chronology's sake, I was a real estate agent, I was a full-time student, and I was selling drugs. So I would sell it, I would basically like rent apartments, get commission, buy drugs, sell them, make more money. So I'd take like legal money, make more money with illegal stuff. And then
Wow.
that was kind of what I was like. I
Right.
mean, that was the thing. And I was a great student too. So it was like no one could tell me anything. And I was young and had this like superhero complex,
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, so, um, so
And you got caught, and then that's what told you something because nobody
I
else
never
could.
got caught. I only got caught being high. I never got caught.
Oh, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Wild,
So I
wild.
never technically ever sold drugs.
Right.
Just for the record, just so we don't, you know what I mean?
Of course, absolutely.
Never
Yeah,
did
Never
that.
for
sold drugs.
entertainment
It was an
purposes only.
illusion.
For
Yeah.
entertainment
just-
purposes only, not financial advice. Disclaimer
Yeah,
done.
Right.
exactly.
I was just really high. So I always got caught being high. It
Yeah.
was like stupid. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It was the Xanax
Interesting.
that did me in. Xanax
Yeah,
was really
man.
And so
That's
that
true. Well,
last
just remember, man, the best criminals are the ones that get away with it, and the best criminals are politicians. So they get paid for it. But we
Exactly.
won't go down that rabbit hole.
We won't go down that rabbit hole because
Yeah.
that's,
So-
that's a lot.
What were you saying, Mikey?
So to move it forward, I want to be cognizant of time. We're already at 10:22, and I want to get into the meat of like you're doing some really interesting things in the Web3 space. So we can leave it at, and you're going to have to come on the show again because there's just so much to unpack, and this is already an amazing, fascinating conversation. You have the quote unquote come to Jesus moment. It's 2010, and now you're ready. You've got you got your shit. You're starting to get sober. What does that period look like up till Web3? And then we'll go into the Web3 stuff.
yeah, it was tough. I went the first year I went because I was a big like club goer.
Yeah.
I was always at like, quote air quotes for anyone listening. I was at quote winter music conference, which ultra music festival was just sort of like picking up, and so I had to prove to myself that I wasn't missing out on anything. I wasn't FOMOing, right? So for the first 52 weeks of my first year of sobriety, I went every weekend to the club. So be it Pasha in New York or District 36 or, wherever the fuck, whether we went to Atlantic City or whatever. I went completely sober. And my friends would go on drugs. And so, yeah, I proved to myself that I wasn't missing anything. And the music's great, but it sounds better in my headphones. And, sweaty, drug-infused humans, they're only fun for so long. Like, I'm literally not missing anything. It's the same fucking thing. And so that saved me a lot of time. Like, being sober has cut out all the bullshit where it's like, people are like, oh, let's go out. And I'm like, okay. And then I go out and I probably leave by, depending on which city I'm in, I could leave at 10 or I can leave at 2 a.m. It's basically like, for me, I want to go to places to interact with people.
Right.
And so those interactions are valuable from the morning until 10. After 10,
man.
They start getting wasted and they're just not going to remember. And there's so many deals that go down after 11 and they're like, oh, I love you, you're amazing, let's do this, or let's build and let's do that. And then the next day you walk past them in the street, they don't remember your ass because they're high as fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, I don't like to waste time. Like, I try and be highly efficient.
Yeah.
And so, plus, what the fuck am I gonna look for at a club after 10? I don't do drugs, and I have an amazing girlfriend. And even if I didn't, I wouldn't want to find one at that hour at that place anyway.
Right.
Probably.
Right.
Like, of course, I'm painting this with broad strokes, but so.
Dude.
So it's all about intention, and I'm not sure how I got to. Oh yeah, the first 52 weeks. So I realized there's no phone. Then I went and did the real estate stuff, and I was a big sneakerhead. So here I am waking up early, having sneaker bots on my computer, thinking, I'm gonna get this sneaker. Right. So I get 2 pairs, 3 pairs. I would sell one, keep one, wear one. If I could get that,
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing?
I feel like you've had a lot of those throughout your life, which is awesome.
I love this. Yeah, this is good.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm sitting here, I'm like 23, 24, waking up for sneakers.
Right.
Am I a fucking idiot?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a fucking landlord. If I just focus, like, I'm focusing on this. I'm here. If I focus on this up here, I could just buy the sneakers whenever the fuck I want.
Ooh.
I don't need to focus on this. If I'm making this much, then I don't need to worry about a sneaker. And what the fuck am I worrying about sneakers? What the fuck am I doing?
Oh,
I love
gonna
it.
make a
Stupid
great short,
superficial
my
shit
man.
is this.
A great short. Titled "What the fuck am I doing with sneakers?"
I love it.
So I shifted my focus. Let me be the best landlord.
Right.
And then I can, buy the sneakers later for $200 more. I own $1 million buildings. I'm worried about sneaker robots. I'm putting my attention in the wrong places.
Well said.
Lack of focus. So, listen, addiction, just like lack of focus, has no discrimination, and it will permeate the fabric of your existence, and it'll just manifest in different ways, right? And it's harder and harder and harder today because of our devices and all the applications on them.
Yep.
I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm on Discord. I'm like a grandfather at this point. Like, how am I on Discord? What is Discord? What the fuck? Was the phone not enough? Did we not do not, none of us did this, invented Discord. I'm not like
Right.
shitting on it. It's just like, so there's Discord, there's Twitch, there's YouTube, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's email, phone calls, text. What the fuck? What gives?
TikTok, baby. You missed it. It's all
TikTok.
there. Dude, Maddie and I are the same generation. We grew up that didn't even have cell phones. I used to go knock on Matt's door to ask him if he could play, right? We're 41, so we get it. I didn't, dude, when I started my NFT career, Discord, people are asking me, they're a moderator and they thought I was an NFT guru. I knew fuck all about NFTs. I just lucked out to be a moderator on Discord. I didn't even know how to work Discord, bro. I still don't, but we're streaming through it because it offers the best video sound experience, better than Skype and Zoom, actually. So that's why we're here, because we're using the technology as a way to promote and make our business more efficient.
Yeah, but the point is focus.
Yes.
So
yes,
all these are distractions. You're right.
But they're necessary. They're necessary for us to succeed, and this is just the way it is.
Yep.
And so what I hold firm about is like, don't bring me a problem without a solution. And so like, here I am saying this is a problem, but it's not a problem. It's just a matter of self-discipline. And it's like, okay, it's also a matter of like intention.
Yeah.
Understanding your value. So let me put tangible examples for those, because those are just words. So what's my value? My value is in taking an emotion and creating it, depicting it visually for people. What's my intention with social media is to get visibility on my skill set. And why? So that I can monetize it to continue to create the things I want to create. They just happen to be bigger and bigger and more elaborate. And so I need to continue in this regimen so that I can afford to continue to create, because my objectives are to put large format sculptures on Earth. And how can I expect people to fund that if I've never made a sculpture?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like people being like, I want to be an actor. They're like, have you acted before? They're like, no. Like, I should be. And it's just like, well, then fucking go be on camera, do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
and so this is the same, this is the same. So I have sculptures. They're going in. I have a solo show on March 24th on 30 Bond Street. It's my fine art practice. I had this discussion with a good friend, a collector, yesterday, where it's like, it's really weird. Like, here are two objects. They look basically the same, right?
Right.
They should be of the same value, right? That's not how it works.
Yeah.
My fine art is valued at this. It's physical work with my hands that an entire different arena of people pay a shitload of money for it. And my digital art is over here. It's over here. Yeah. It's the same. It's on the other side of the thing. Same subject matter, but just different arena. It's like a fucking different language, And, for whatever it's worth, like, if a lot of these contemporary, like big contemporary artists that are in galleries right now, the solution, I guess, if they had succeeded, right? If people who are into digital art, collectibles, NFTs recognized the art, the value of that artist and what it means for them to have reached that level in their career, and if that was reflected in the success of their NFT projects, I think we'd be in a much different position in the NFT space,
right,
as it relates to the traditional art world.
Yeah, dude.
So that's that.
No, that is, you gave us amazing insight into how you got from one of your lowest lows to sobriety to really molding your mindset into being an entrepreneur, right? And being something that is you're now driven by your own principles, your own self-awareness, which ultimately brings that heightened success. Maddie, do you have anything to add to that amazing dialogue that we just had, or can we move to Web3?
Yeah, let's move to Web3. I just think it's good insight to hear an artist talk about this space
Yeah,
as an artist.
yeah,
And I really like what you did with there at the pens, because it's, I think a lot of people don't understand that
right,
because they're not in your shoes, right?
right.
And they don't understand, especially how fine art works. I mean, truthfully, it's a mystery to me, but so are NFTs still. So in terms of like, I can't make, it's very difficult for me to go into an art gallery and look and be like, good, bad, right? It's hard for a lot of people to understand that. And I think
Mhm.
that same dilemma occurs with NFTs. Is that, it's like, well, that looks cool. You know what I mean? So is this going to be the one, or I don't know, that looks kind of cool. Is
Yeah.
that's not going to be the one? And so I think there's what you demonstrated is there's more behind just that is intrinsic in the value. So I think that's important.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bullet to add. If you want me, I can
Yeah,
add it.
add that
Do it.
bullet.
So, so as of now, when it comes to the success of an NFT project,
Mhm.
um, it is directly related to the founders, the the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, if you said, okay, what's the one thing that will guarantee a successful mint out? Not a product, just the mint out.
right.
Yeah.
Big Twitter account. Like, the person behind it has a solid, engaged Twitter.
Yep.
That's it. Notice it has nothing to do with art, technical prowess, vision, story, emotion, anything. It is simply a community driven popularity, whatever you want to call it. It is just having a big Twitter following.
Yeah,
That's it.
let's just call it a popularity contest on the internet.
Yeah.
Meme land is meme land because the guy created a 10-year plus internet company. He had already a robust community in the millions all over the world. And whatever that guy outputted was going to sell out no matter how many mints were in his collection, no matter what he priced it
That's right.
at. It was going to be a guaranteed sellout. And that was because he had built this massive online presence.
Sure. And that holds its own weight
Yeah.
as not artistry, but as having built something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, like, th- by the way, that same concept, like, once you pass a certain threshold of notoriety, you can apply that. So, if I told you I was a huge Twitch streamer,
Hmm.
right? And you're like, where'd you make your money? And I'm like, t-shirts. Meanwhile, somebody went to FIT, spent their whole life trying to design fashion to sell fashion. They sell one fucking shirt.
Right.
This person's on Twitch and sold 10,000 fucking shirts.
Right.
Hmm.
So if we look at life as a game, it's like, well, if you want to sell shirts, what's the sacrifice you're willing to make? And so for me, so the bullet point is NFT success. If you wanted a successful project, Twitter following. Fine art, traditional art is a different sport. And honestly, I don't feel, as much as I'm involved in it, I might not feel so comfortable like saying the guarantee of success of it.
Yeah.
But for sure, it is technical prowess and historical education about art. It has an actual heritage. I mean, for 1,000 years, people are collecting art. They're commissioning artists. This shit
Yeah.
has a real heritage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why the traditional art space, for example, would sort of look at the NFT space and be like, well, like it's
Yeah.
gotten so big that it has to acknowledge it, but it's so new. And I
Yeah.
mean, let's call a spade a spade. You got people who spent their whole life making art, not winning. And then you got people who scribble nonsense on something and mint a shitload. And you're like, well, what gives? Like, this isn't,
Yeah.
this isn't the same thing.
It's
We're
almost
not
not
fight. We're
fair,
not.
right? It's almost not
Well,
fair
no, it's
depending on
fair. It's
well, it
totally,
is.
listen, that's the fucking sport. This is the fucking
Right.
sport we're playing.
Right. It's not.
It's like we're going big game hunting, and I have a fucking Swiss Army knife, and you got a fucking 50 caliber. Like, well, nobody made the rule. Nobody said there was any rules. You choose
that
your
it was
fucking
fair.
weapon.
Yeah.
Or that it was fair. Yeah. Or that it was fair. Okay, this is awesome, man. I mean, insanely enlightening. And like Maddie said, I love the artist perspective. So let's get into your Web3. I don't think we have time for the Web3 journey. So let's just hop right into you as an artist in the Web3 space and what you're trying to build. I'd love to hear that.
Well, just to touch on the whole thing,
Yeah.
like, if we summarize this whole conversation, it's about self-actualization, understanding who we are. Like, the only way I can create art is by being sober and being able to process my emotion in an effective way, and translating my art. So translating my emotions into art for people to either like or not like. You don't have to like it, but so I just realized, like, I want to create a project that has the utility of self-discovery. A project that is not like, what's the utility? Oh, maybe t-shirt. It's like,
Right.
fucking, we don't know yet. Just pay us first. And then, like, this is like, and again, I think it's a read the room type of thing. I don't suspect that I read the room. I don't think it's about that. This is kind of me making a project that I felt was needed for me. I should have called it Blind Spot. For people listening that aren't aware, it's called Looking In. And it's a project where we built this whole, like, experience where you answer these questions, and a clinical result of your personality is generated. And I've hand drawn all the art for each personality facet. And the reason I should have called it Blind Spot is because I wanted to know if who I think I am is how my close circle perceives me to be. So we built this test. I take it, my personality is then revealed, and then I get to send it to my close circle, and they take it about me, and I get to see if who I think I am is how they perceive me to be.
Interesting. I love this.
Yeah.
And so, go ahead, Manny.
What do you want them to glean from that? Once that is done, is this more about you learning something about yourself, or your inner circle learning something about you, or both?
I mean, the number one success here is people taking time away from being internet voyeurs to being introspective. The questions that they answer on the test they're not these, like, revolutionary questions, but they are questions that are seldom asked.
Okay.
And yeah, it's an amalgamation of years of tattooing people. The way I tattoo is you have to write me a story, and from that story I design the artwork, and then you show up, and 99 out of 100 it's, wow, I love this, I want it. And so the reason it is 99% of the time is because I don't put like filler in the tattoo. I don't, like, put subject matter and then I'm like, okay, let's put, like, some smoke here, some stars here. stuff, just to fill it up nicely.
Right.
Everything has intention. So if you look at my tattoos on my Instagram, like Snuffy NYC, every single tattoo, every element of it has intention. And so that's because when people write me their story, I sort of dissect it and then intertwine our stories together, because I feel like I've experienced so much in life that it's like I've kind of felt every range of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you have to, because we're not, everyone's the fucking same.
Yeah.
We all experience the same emotion at the the genre level. Pain is relative, success is relative. We all, nothing makes somebody on the most fundamental level different. So that's how I'm able to relate to all my clients. And so the thing is, not everybody wants a tattoo.
Yeah.
So how can I give this, right? How can I give this to everybody? So I made this project. But the actual value, what I realized is not the tattoo, but my client's self-discovery in writing me their story.
Yeah.
So when somebody has to write, they're forced to be concise and to choose their words carefully, and they know I'm going to read it, so they don't want to sound silly.
Right.
And in doing that, like, you don't get a tattoo because you're like, oh my God, like the barbecue place was great, I want barbecue tattooed on me. No, it's like so-and-so died, or this person graduated, or this person entered my life. Like, this was a life-altering moment. I want it tattooed on me.
Right.
So people are writing me their stories, and with the tattoo as the carrot, through that process, they begin to identify themselves through this traumatic experience, whether good trauma or bad. I don't know if that applies, right?
Right.
But good or bad trauma, these people are reliving themselves through that because they want the art. They want the tattoo from me.
That's awesome.
And that's the value.
Now, do you understand why I was so excited to have this conversation, Maddie?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's well said. And but just to take it away from the I mean, you answer the question in such a profound way, because it's not about the art per se. Like you said, their journey in self-discovery in the process of putting this together is the real victory. You know what I mean? The tattoo is a manifestation of that, but you're right. Not everybody wants a tattoo, and you found fulfillment in helping people through this journey, and that's what you're trying to bring to your NFT project. And I think that is really, really cool.
Yeah, and Snuffy, this is why I was so excited when you talked, because you're doing what we do, just in a different creative format, right? We intimately care about people's as humans and their stories. And we want to get them on, and we know that you sharing your story is going to be resonate some way with someone that's watching this stream that could profoundly change their life for the good, right? And that is so critically important to us to be able to continue to do that in a creative way. And so when you said this, it just kind of like, I was like, this is awesome, because this guy has a tattoo project that is parallel to what we're totally all about. And I knew this was going to be a great conversation.
Very cool.
Yeah, now I'm pissed that I was 15 minutes late.
Oh, we're going to do this again, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good.
So take us through, now that you've kind of like Maddie said, did a great job in a profound way explaining what you're trying to do. I'm excited. I want to get my digital tattoo based off my personality. Can you still mint it? What does the time period look like? And what does the future of what you're doing look like? And then we can kind of wind it down, since we are running out of time.
So we launched it as a soft launch. The mint is now closed, and it will reopen in the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks. Because this isn't just like a picture and you mint it,
right,
and that's it. It's actually more of a fucking like software company. And it's like, okay, we soft launched it. Now we're refining this thing so that it's a more we're making sure, because there's this thing called the peak experience. You go to a restaurant, you sit down, it's fucking nice. You get a fucking amazing drink. The food sucks. It's the worst. Then the dessert is amazing. You end up leaving there and you're like, not that bad.
Right.
Peak experience. You enter, it's great. You leave, it's great. Everything in the middle doesn't matter. That applies to music too. Intro, shitty verse, amazing chorus, So
Yeah.
with us, we are making sure we optimize for the peak experience, because the actual dinner, the fucking meat and potatoes, is just bananas. It is so good. The meat and potatoes is bananas. You can quote me on that. No, like the project is it is so profound that we need to step back and make sure that when you enter, you understand what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And when you leave, you understand what the fuck just happened.
Yep.
And
Awesome.
that is the reason we decided we're doing soft launch, and then we're gonna do the hard launch in a week or so.
Love it.
You can still take the test. You connect your wallet, you take the test. When the mint opens, you can then mint. So your results are stored or tagged with your wallet.
Yep. And is this an indefinite supply or just another time period? How does that work?
We're going to do another time period.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what makes this even more interesting is that when you go on like OpenSea and you look at the traits, actually the rarest traits are the rarest people.
Interesting.
Because it's a personality project.
Yeah.
So your traits are based on who you are.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool.
So actually, you're not like, I want, the hoodie or the cigarette or the glasses. You're like, this is who I fucking am.
Yeah. That's
am
awesome.
I the rarest or not?
I can't wait to do it, man.
Yeah. So
cool.
So yeah, there are so many twists and turns, but what's most important is that one token equals one test. Plain and simple. One token is one test.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're doing a leaderboard, so whoever mints the most will get the one of one of their primary facet airdrop to them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're getting into more like complicated shit.
Right.
You mint the most, you get airdropped the thing.
Yeah.
It's important. Simple.
So
Now,
with that moving on, what does the next 3 to 6 months look like? Give us that, and then we can wrap it up, because we do have 2 more questions. They're super softball, but I definitely want to get them in.
Sure. So the next 3 to 6 months look like this. We do the hard launch, and then we basically find out who's the rarest people, which is which type of person minted the most. And we have a lot of like charts and data visualization that sort of will give us a better understanding of like who our community is of NFT collectors, and pretty much everybody is like in the domain of openness to experience. What a surprise. Those are the first group of people that minted.
Yeah.
What happens next is we open up layer 2, which is you being able to invite your close circle to take it about you. Then we'll do another part of the project where you can actually choose to combine how your close circle perceives you and the results that you got about yourself, and see what that is. Because are you who you are, or are you who we think you are?
Yeah.
You're probably a combination of both.
That's amazing, man. What a cool,
So
cool concept.
I can go on. There's just like a zillion more things that we are doing. But the first thing is like making sure that people recognize what the fuck it is in the first place.
Yeah.
No, I love
That's a
this.
huge
This is
problem
good.
Yeah.
This is
for
really good.
people.
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring you back on because this is, and we can probably do a one-off of on just like really getting. We'll do episode 3, which is like your web intro to Web3, getting to where you are now, and we'll do a way deeper dive. It'll make some awesome content. But to kind of wrap it all up, I want to get our last 2 questions in. One, do you have any questions for us? Because we just jammed out for an hour and a half and it felt like 10 minutes because it was an amazing journey. We like to give that courtesy to our guest. If you don't have a question, it's totally fine.
Fuck you, man. That's crazy. You gave me 3 minutes to ask you a question. Like, I want a whole hour about you. Like, that's not fair.
Okay, well then we'll do
To be
another.
fair, Mikey, he does have a whole project based on people getting to know themselves and their circle knowing them. So it would make sense of all people he would want more time to dive deep.
So
I
how about we
appreciate
do this? We'll do another podcast and you can interview us and we'll tell you your story.
I love it.
Why don't we do the test? You do the test. We'll go over the thing. The test is the project looking in on lookingin.nyc is.
It's up on the screen, by the way. I took a screen grab of your website. It's been on the screen the whole time.
Sick. Yeah. So looking into NYC is social lubricant. It is designed to answer these for you to ask yourself these questions.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect thing for us to go over together because you say, oh, like I keep my room messy or clean. This is a bad example, but it's like, well, I keep it messy. I was like, well, why? Whatever. That's just an easy one. But then there's questions like, have you ever thought about running away?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah. It's like, well, what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
And then you're like,
well, we're going to do that.
I
mean, we've got multiple shows then. We've got a Web3 deep dive on you. We got personality test on us. We got a lot to do. I can't wait. So our final question to wrap it up is, how do you think your time on the Midlife Crisis show went compared to other things, the Twitter spaces that you've done, all of the exposure and kind of these shows that you've done? We like to get feedback about your experience and your thoughts on being on our show.
This is one of my favorite experiences because I feel like we've gotten to the bottom of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we start a topic and we summarize the topic and then we move to the next one, and it doesn't feel like this meandering thing. And it also doesn't, and it, the issue I do have with Twitter Spaces is it feels a bit impersonal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, we're going to call you up on stage, or you get on stage, or all right, you got 30 seconds, elevator pitch for this thing that you spent like 3 years working on. Like, hurry up and, you're just like,
right.
What the fuck? Like, this is not, I'm meant for like long form dialogue, not however many characters are allowed now. That's just not me. So for me, this is great. And actually, that's why I always liked Discord, because it really did feel like I could just jam out and just have long conversations as opposed to any other. It definitely felt reciprocal, where it's like Instagram is so one directional. Instagram's like, here's my work, here's my work, here's my work, just take it.
Right.
Twitter is a little bit of back and forth, but it's like superficial in that sense. It's just like here's a thread, and you're like, oh, this is so long. When you take that thread and you put it in a Word document, it's like, this long. It's one paragraph, but it's like a 20 thing thread, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate that feedback.
That's
exactly what we're going for, and you've still kept our 100% batting average, because 100% of the people that have come on the show has given similar feedback. So we've definitely proven a product market fit. Now we just need to get as much exposure as possible because we want to keep on changing people's lives like you are, just in a different way, right? So
We're doing
thank
it
you so
together.
much. I'll let Maddie do his closing comments. I'll do my closing comments, and then we definitely will be texting and setting up more time to do a couple more shows, man.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
Maddie.
man, this was amazing. And here's here's the good news. One, I feel like I just made a friend. Two, I want to get a freaking tattoo from you. So what's what, and here's the thing. It had nothing to normally, the tattoo world. I'm looking at like 20 Instagram pages. Is this the kind of art I like? Is this what I want? Just your talk about me writing something and you interpreting that and making something based on it. What a cool, unique, personalized way to do that. And honestly, what you said you got out of it, the fact that your customers get this introspective look even more than the tattoo, man, all of this stuff. And I'm sure, listen, I don't know how, I know you've talked about this before and this is your passion, but you talk about it really well, and it makes people, let me just say this, your peaks are good because I'm in. You know what I mean? I want to take the test. I want to know what's going on. I want to keep talking to you and see how we can do this, because this is one of the few times in Web3, honestly, and in Web2, where I'm talking to somebody who is like, I'm gonna make a difference in people's lives. Knowing about yourself, man, like you said, you can keep chasing the things, but you got to know about you to be able to move forward and find fulfillment. And you found a way to help people do that, and I commend you for it. So well done.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
And to add on to what Maddie said, I think the forces that be that I just randomly hopped on a Twitter space and heard you speak. I knew this was going to be an amazing conversation. I want more. I want definitely more long format conversations. Two, I'm with Maddie. I look at we just built an online friendship in front of everybody's eyes. It was beautiful, and I cannot wait to win together because we believe in the same concepts, and you're doing it in a really unique way. And thank you for actually taking your skill set, your background, and applying it to Web3 and not the bullshit PFP. I'm going to make $3 million overnight, and then I don't give a fuck what happens after. Like really, really interesting, profound, thoughtful way to bring Web3 to the art world. And then fourth, we don't have a lot of just like true artists like you on the show. Most of it is this, I'm using Web3 as a Kickstarter to start a business, and I've got, it's more now turned into like pretty defined roadmap. They're trying to build a company, whereas 6 months ago it was like a PFP, I'm making money, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Right.
It was just really cool to hear an artist's perspective about Web3 and just you thoughtfully thinking about what you're doing. So I just appreciate the hell out of you, man. I cannot wait to do this in the future, and I cannot wait to take the personality test. It's going to be fun.
I got nothing left to say. That's awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. It really means a lot, I think from an artist perspective, like people just want to, I guess from a human perspective, people just want to feel heard. And you guys let me feel heard today. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And with that being said, man, we got to wrap it up because we all got places to be. Midlife Crisis had a killer week with some amazing conversations. So glad we were able to cap it off with Snuffy. We'll be cutting this content together. You'll be seeing it on our socials. We'll be back on Sunday night. We're giving away free NFTs, playing some marbles on Twitch, vibing, hanging out. Maybe we'll even play some video games together in Discord. Can't wait to do it. We